children, welcome to SR Concepts. I am Ravi Verma, and in this video, that is the part 3 of the chapter number 8 from your NCERT textbook of science. In this video, we are going to start the topic difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Right. So dear students, on this earth, there are basically two different kinds of cells or two different types of cells depending on the organization or the type of the nucleus present in them. These are prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Dear students, first of all, let's talk about certain examples of prokaryotic cells and examples of eukaryotic cells. Okay, so prokaryotic cells are found in bacteria, mycoplasma, the smallest cell on the earth, right, and the bacteria. So all the bacterial cells actually have mycoplasma is also a type of bacteria, right? So bacterial cells actually are prokaryotic cells, and eukaryotic cells are found in plants, animals, fungi, and protozoa. So we can say basically there are 5 categories. One is bacteria, then plant, then animal, then fungi, and protozoa. These are the 5 categories of organisms. Out of these 5 categories found on the earth, only in one category of organism there are prokaryotic cells, while all the remaining 4 categories of living organisms contain eukaryotic cells or are made up of eukaryotic cells. Now, why they are called prokaryotic and eukaryotic? Actually, pro means primitive, and karyotic means nucleus. So the cells containing a primitive nucleus are called prokaryotic cells, while eukaryotic means true, and karyotic means nucleus. So the cells containing a true nucleus or well defined nucleus are called eukaryotic cells. So if the cell has a primitive nucleus, then the cell is prokaryotic cell. If the cell has advanced and well developed nucleus, then the cell is eukaryotic cell. Now, depending on the type of cell present in them, the organisms are of 2 types. The organisms containing prokaryotic cells are called prokaryotic organisms, and these are the bacteria. Thus, the organisms which contain eukaryotic cells are called eukaryotic organisms, and the examples are plants, animal, fungi, and protozoa. Dear students, the examples of protozoa are amoeba and paramecium. We have discussed in chapter number 2. Alright, in order to understand the basic difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, let's have a look at the bacterial cell first, and then we will have a look at the eukaryotic cell. Right? So look at the bacterial cell, that is a prokaryotic cell. Here you see some structure known as nucleoid is present at the center. This nucleoid is actually the nucleus of prokaryotic cell. Note that the nucleoid is not covered within any membrane. There is no membrane around the nucleoid, right? So this nucleoid is actually just a long DNA molecule, long chromosome that has been coiled very tightly, right, or very condensedly. It has been condensed. So nucleoid is just a single chromosome of bacterial cell or prokaryotic cell, which is not enclosed inside a nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. So we can say that nucleus of a prokaryotic cell is nucleoid, which is a poorly defined nucleus without a nuclear membrane, right? So this is why the cell is called prokaryotic cell, means having a primitive or poorly defined nucleus. Alright, if we talk about eukaryotic cell, let's move on to the eukaryotic cell. Suppose this is a plant cell, actually, not to suppose only, okay, and this is an animal cell. So here you see that the nucleus is actually enclosed within a membrane, right? So there is a clear cut membrane known as nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. Here in animal cell also you see there is a nuclear envelope, right? There is a nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane. So such a nucleus is called a well defined nucleus. So we can say that the eukaryotic cells like plants and animal cells, they contain a well defined nucleus that is enclosed within a nuclear envelope, having a nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane. So this is why they are called eukaryotic cells, having true type of nucleus or well defined nucleus. Okay, there are a few more differences. There is one more major difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. That is, here you see the strengths in a eukaryotic cell, something like this. You see there is one more structure, that is vacuole, and also you see there are many chloroplasts. These green colored structures are chloroplasts, and there are many other cell organelles. You have noted that endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, right, lysosomes, ribosomes, and many more, right? So we have seen there are many membrane bound cell organelles. All the organelles in a plant or animal cell, that is an eukaryotic cell, are enclosed within membranes. But here you see in a bacterial or prokaryotic cell, there is no cell organelle visible. Here you see there is no mitochondria, no endoplasmic reticulum, no chloroplast. All the membrane bound organelles are absent. So another difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell is that a prokaryotic cell does not contain any membrane bound cell organelles, but eukaryotic cells have membrane bound cell organelles, right? So now let us go to this table. In this table you will see the features or the differences between the prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. First of all, generally the prokaryotic cell, which are the bacterial cells, they are very small in size, which are around 1 to 10 micrometer. Please note that 1 micrometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 meter. That means if you break a meter into 1 million parts, 1 million equal parts, right, then that part, that small part that you will get is having a length of 1 micrometer. So the cells of bacterial cells or prokaryotic cells are very small, that is 1 to 10 micrometer in size. While if we talk about eukaryotic cells, then the size is very large generally, and they are generally between 5 micrometer to 100 micrometer. However, the cells may be much bigger or smaller as compared to this one, right? Okay, another important difference that we have already discussed is that nuclear region is poorly defined without nuclear membrane, called nucleoid. If we talk about eukaryotic cells, then the nuclear region is well defined in nucleus. It is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. So we can say prokaryotic cells do not have a nuclear membrane, but eukaryotic cells have a nuclear membrane. Another difference, membrane bound cell organelles are absent. They are not present. There are no mitochondria, no ribosome, no chloroplast, right? We talk about eukaryotic cell, then membrane bound cell organelles are present. There are mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosome, chloroplasts, Golgi apparatus, many membrane bound cell organelles. Then chromosome is single. You know that nucleoid is actually a very long circular chromosome, right? But if we talk about eukaryotic cells, there are many linear chromosomes. Okay. Next, if we talk about bacterial cell, the examples of prokaryotic cells are bacteria. Mycoplasma is just a type of bacteria. And if we talk about eukaryotic cells, plant, animal, fungi, and protozoa cells are eukaryotic cells. Okay, so once we have discussed about the differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, now let's move on to note the differences between a plant cell and animal cell. Okay, so here you see two differences are given here already in this table number 8.1. You have to fill this table in your book also. First of all, cell membrane present and present. Obviously the cell membrane is present in every type of cell found on earth. But if we talk about cell wall, then it is present only in plant cell but absent in animal cell. Okay, nuclear membrane, nucleus is also present in both cells. Nuclear membrane is also present in both cells. Cytoplasm in both cells. But what about plastids? Plastids are found only in plant cell but not in an animal cell, right? If we talk about vacuoles, are present in both plant and animal cell. In plant cell, the vacuoles are generally very large and only one or two. But if we talk about animal cell, then the vacuoles are many, right? More in number, but they are very small. They are very small. But if we talk about vacuoles of plant cells, they are very large, right? So we can say that in plant cells vacuoles are present but they are very large and only one and two. But if we talk about animal cells, the vacuoles are multiple, right? Larger in number but small in size, very small in size, and many times they may be absent in animal cells also. All right, okay. So these were a few important differences between a plant cell and animal cell. There is one more difference. We notice that there is centriole present in animal cell but absent in plant cell, right? However, that need not to be means considered by you, because this is not given in your NCERT textbook and this is not in your own syllabus, right? So the major differences between plant cell and animal cell that we noted is that the cell wall is present in plant cell but absent in animal cell. Plastids present in plant cell but absent in animal cells. Vacuole large but one and two, while in animal cell vacuoles are small but many. One more difference you can see: size. If we talk about size, then plant cells are generally larger in shape as compared to animal cells, which are generally smaller in size. Generally smaller in size. Okay, so dear students, this is whole the end of the chapter. Let's go back to the top of the chapter, the start of the chapter. Let's see what we have discussed in this chapter, right? Very quickly, only within 2 or 3 minutes, I am going to discuss whole the content of this chapter. I'm going to revise whole the content of this chapter. All right. We will be revising whole the content of the chapter. All right. So first of all, this chapter, the title of the chapter is Cell Structure and Function. What is a cell? It is the basic structural and functional unit of life. The bodies of all organisms are made up of cells, and the cells are called the building blocks of the organisms. Okay. Now, why it is called a basic unit of life? Because it is a structural unit of life, because bodies of all organisms are made up of cells. It is also called functional unit of life because it performs all the essential functions of the body of an organism, right? So this is why it is called a functional unit of life also. Next, discovery of the cell was done by Robert Hooke while he observed under the microscope the thin slices of the cork made up of the bark of an oak tree, right? In 1665, he given the term cell to some empty compartments which looked to be the honeycomb-like structures. Okay, how do the scientists observe the cell? By the help of microscope. They generally stain the cells, right? And because of the stain or dyes, the cells are visible clearly. Number of cells: there are two types of organisms. One are unicellular, having only one cell. The examples are amoeba and paramecium. And the most important thing is that only single cell can perform all the functions of the organism, right? If we talk about multicellular organisms, then multicellular organisms have multiple cells in their bodies, and even they start their life only with a single cell. The single cell divides multiple times and produces a very large number of cells, and the organism becomes multicellular. Now, in a multicellular organisms, the functions have been divided into groups of cells. These groups of cells are called tissues. So a particular group of cell having a particular function is called a tissue, right? And when the organism's body becomes more complex, having very large number of cells, then the tissues make groups, and together a group of tissue having a particular function is called organ. In the same way, there may be certain groups of organs which perform a particular function. Then it is called organ system. For example, digestive system is a group of organs performing a particular function. Okay. Now, if we talk about size of the cell, then it depends on the function of the cell, right? Function of the cell. And if we talk about smallest cell, it is around 0.1 micrometer in mycoplasma, that is a type of bacteria, and the largest cell is ostrich egg cell, largest animal cell. Okay, longest animal cell is the nerve cell. And if we talk about shape of the cell, then amoeba does not has a fixed shape, it keeps changing its shape. It makes pseudopodia, right? And if we talk about WBC, they also change their shape. Okay, and the shapes may be different in different cells depending on their functions. We have discussed about the structure of the cell. The cell contains three important portions, three important structures. One is cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. These three things are found in every cell. Okay, the animal cell has a cell wall also. Then we discussed that the cytoplasm contains multiple a number of cell organelles, right? A number of cell organelles. These are vacuoles, plastids, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and these all are given in this table. Their functions are given in this table. So this is all about this chapter. We have just discussed the differences between prokaryotic cells, eukaryotic cells, plant cells, and animal cells. Thank you for watching this video, and you have to make your notes from this video only, right? Because these are very good notes for you. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. Please share, like the video if you think that the video is really really very good. Thank you.